Strategies for personal vocal development. As Trevelle said, I'm Trevelle Clarke Whyne. You heard the other little things about me. I'm no oral specialist, but I do teach oral skills. If anybody doesn't know what that is, it's pretty much you know, like we have students doing melodic dictation, rhythmic dictation, and sight singing. So all those, some of you maybe use hymnals at your churches. You will see those notes in your hymn books. Then my students should be able to sing it just like that by just giving them the main notes, the main key, and then they should be able to sing it. So, and all the other stuff. But anyway, enough of the talking. So let's go in. Strategies for personal vocal development. Now I have a video that I'm going to have you watch because this is going to be important. As I said, it's a crash course. We can't go into all the details. If you want to go into details, we can always talk about how we can go about that. Now we have some things in our throat called vocal cords. It's all a part of the voice box, the larynx, the tongue, the hard palate, the soft palate. All of these things make up how our voice, how sounds are produced. So we're going to be watching this video really quickly. So just watch and we'll talk in a minute.
Called vocal folds are located in the mid portion of your neck, about halfway down, between the top and the bottom of your neck. There are two vocal cords, and they're connected in the front of your neck and open and close in the back, towards the back of your neck. They're located inside the voice box or larynx. The cords sit at the top of your windpipe or trachea, with their voice box, often called the Adam's apple. Women have the same thing, but it's smaller and harder to feel with your finger. Your vocal cords are just behind the Adam's apple. Now, women can sometimes feel their Adam's apple by placing their finger here and gently pushing in on their neck. And about the first lump that you feel is at the top of the larynx. About halfway down your neck, you feel that small bump. That's your Adam's apple, ladies. And your vocal cords are just behind it. I can feel a small V right in the center of the top of my Adam's apple. That's the cartilage. Now, at birth, our vocal cords are about the same length, approximately 2 millimeters. By age 20, women's cords are about 10 millimeters and men's 60 millimeters in length. The change for men is much greater, and this causes a deepening of the voice and can make singing during the vocal change much harder. Vocal cords are tissue and are three-dimensional. That means they have length, width, and depth. Just like other tissue in your body, there are different layers of tissue. Vocal cords have three primary layers: muscle, ligament, and mucosa. It's the slick outer layer of the vocal cord. The vocal cords open when we breathe and come together when we make noise with our voices, and are covered up when we swallow. A type of lid called the epiglottis closes over the vocal cords when we swallow. Sometimes fluid gets through and we cough to clear it out. When air passes through our vocal cords as we speak or sing, they create a series of sound waves, which we can hear. This series of sound waves we call vibration. The vocal cords create the initial vibrations, which is the initial tones we hear that begin the sound we make when speaking and singing. Now watch and listen as these vocal cords create the vibrations that become our voices.
All right. So,
Called vocal folds.
all right. So that we just saw how the vocal cords work. Do we realize that there's really some, as we said, muscles, and they're very easy to be irritated, right? So we have to take good care of them. I see. Hold on. Let me see something in the chat. Ew. Well, as we speak, as we sing, that is exactly what is taking place in our voice box, right? And so those little muscles, those little folds, they're very, very delicate. And so we want to make sure that we take very good care of our voices so that we can preserve them. All right, so the strategies that we're going to focus on today, we're going to be looking at vocal health or hygiene. We're going to be looking at breathing and posture, warm-up techniques, diction, and conviction. And these are all a part of our personal strategies for vocal development. All right. If you do have questions as I go along, feel free to type it in the chat because we might not exactly have a full-on question and answer session. So as it relates to vocal health or hygiene, so vocal hygiene is the appropriate maintenance for a healthy voice, right? It's taking care of your voice. Everybody love to bathe. Do we have anybody here who doesn't like to brush their teeth and wash their hair? Or everybody here likes to bathe and brush their teeth and wash their hair? Everybody? Yes? No? Nobody talking back? Okay. All right, I see something silence. It looks like the people them don't love to bathe. All right. Well, I would like to encourage you to make sure that you have a shower, make sure that you use your deodorant and so on. All right, but we're talking about vocal hygiene today. So as we said, it's the appropriate maintenance for a healthy voice. But who needs to practice vocal hygiene? Can anybody tell me who needs to practice vocal hygiene?
Everybody.
Everybody needs to practice vocal hygiene. All right. And especially individuals who speak or sing a lot, they need to practice vocal hygiene especially. So these are people like who are singers. They might be teachers or lecturers. They could be sales reps. They could be lawyers, right? Once voice is your professional instrument or your main use of instrument in your job, because you have some people who maybe just sit down at a desk every day. They don't necessarily need to talk to people, right? These are the people, the ones who use their voices a lot. They are the ones who especially need to practice good vocal hygiene. Now we have persons who have voice disorders and want to improve and maintain their voices so as not to hallelujah, so as not to worsen their voices. These people also need to practice good vocal hygiene. So, because they might realize that they have vocal issues or disorders, they might be experiencing vocal fatigue, hoarseness, vocal cord nodules. I know there are a few apostolics who might be on. Apostolics tend to be hoarse a lot because them really believe in a bawling out them throat and under the umbrella of anointing or Holy Ghost. But God wants us to use the voices or the instruments that he has given to us in decency and in order. All right. So vocal hygiene is important for maintaining a healthy voice. So how do we know that we have an unhealthy voice? What are some signs of unhealthy voices? Anybody can tell me what you think might be some signs that your voice is unhealthy?
Talking in the voice.
Say that again.
Talking in the voice. Hoarseness.
Hoarseness. I see somebody in the chat say always hoarse. Yes. Anything else?
Can't keep
All
a
right.
key.
Can't keep a key. Ha! That is true. Can't keep a key is a sign of an unhealthy voice. All right, so let's hear some of the things that are signs of it. And this list is not exhaustive. All right. So the person might be breathy, raspy, or have a hoarse tone. Everybody know that right off the bat that once you are hoarse consistently, because you maybe just had a bad day or something and your voice got hoarse, but if there's a consistent hoarseness in your voice, then it is a sign of an unhealthy voice. The next thing, you have an uncontrollable vocal trembling or quivering. That is also another sign of an unhealthy voice. Next thing, constricted range or ongoing inability to sing softly at the upper end of your range, right? You want to be able to sing at the top of your range with control just the same. If you're not able to do that, then it is a sign of an unhealthy voice. Or your voice just can't go beyond. I mean, there are some people who are naturally they're just altos and they maybe just can't hit a soprano note. But there are some people who think they're altos and can hit the soprano notes, but because they have an unhealthy voice and they're not practicing certain good techniques, then they're not able to sing those higher notes. Right? That's another sign of an unhealthy voice. The next sign is there is a pain in the larynx. So that same thing that we're talking about in that first video, where the larynx houses the vocal folds, right? There's this consistent pain, or maybe you're singing and you never see some people are singing and them start hold them throats. None them done them some throats. My throats are hurt me. Yeah, man. Unhealthy singing, unhealthy voice. And I'm sure we've seen that. All right. Next thing, unexpected problems of singing on pitch. Now, somebody said this earlier. My God, poor Daniel have to switch, go up semitones, even tone sometime because them just keep sliding up, right? Their voice just not holding their pitches well. So that is a sign of an unhealthy voice. So if you have anybody at your church who you know have any of these problems, message them right now, send them the link and tell them come on to the Zoom. All right. So although everyone benefits from vocal health, singers especially need to be extra vigilant to keep their voice in top condition. I see somebody in the chat say Jesus deliver them. Listen, them need more than Jesus. They need to be in the Zoom. All right. Now the next thing is unrelenting coughing, throat clearing, or post-nasal drip is also a sign of unhealthy voice. So the constant coughing puts pressure on your vocal folds, right? Because you know that when air passes through the vocal folds, sound is produced. And most times, our cough comes with a sound. So it means that the vocal fold is under pressure from that. My God. Unhealthy voice. Have a prayer meeting for them. I love when the chat is buzzing. You know, it make me feel like we're in the space together. All right. So the next thing, we want to avoid mucus producing foods, right? So I know we love these things. The curry goat. What else is red meat? Beef. I don't want to embarrass myself enough. But right now I really feel for some curry goat for lunch. But let us see. All right, milk, cheese, yogurt, ice cream, butter. And would you believe that I found out recently that bread and orange juice also helps to produce mucus. So these are all phlegm, PHLEGM. I think that's the spelling. Mucus producing foods. This name don't eat. Oh God, not ice cream. Yes, man. It's drought some people. Good thing me not singer. I'm just helping those who are not seen in the chat. Yes, bread helps to produce mucus also. So we want to be very careful or limit our intake. You know, for the life of me, I don't know how some people, they know they're going to sing on the choir or the praise team Sunday morning and them drink milk. Don't drink the milk Sunday morning. Drink it Friday night so maybe you can, you know, clear it up by, you know, Sunday. Someone saying in the chat that they found out recently that Pierre does that too. My God. Bread contains butter and milk. Okay, so there's somebody telling us why bread is a part of the mucus producing foods. So we want to make sure that we look at these things. So Sunday morning when we go to church, I will start singing and then a little grogginess come in our throats. We will know that it is because we had one of these things or something along the line of these dairy things or the red meat or whatever that caused us to not be able to sing the notes. All right, so the next thing that we're going to talk about, remember this is our crash course, habits that lead to irritation of the vocal cords. The vocal cords are also referred to as vocal folds. All right, now exposure to irritating substances such as smoke or certain chemicals. Listen, if I smell smoke, whether somebody's smoking or somebody is just burning some garbage somewhere, it affects my whole throatal area, generally speaking. So as much as we can avoid smoke or any kind of chemicals that might trigger our vocal cords, let us do that as much as it be possible. Excessive alcohol intake. So drinking a lot of alcohol, and I know some people don't drink alcohol at all, so that's beautiful, right? Make sure, and this is not just for Christians, because I'm assuming that is not only Christians on the Zoom. Make sure that you limit, if you cannot take it at all, your alcohol intake. Stomach acid. Stomach acid also irritates the vocal folds. And I'm sure that if you maybe have some acid reflux, you kind of feel a little tingling in your throat from time to time. Yes, somebody said bleach too. Yes, bleach as a chemical when you're cleaning the bathroom, for example, or you're wiping the floor. You know, it just feels a little groggy in your throat. So that also irritates the vocal folds. You want to maybe cover up, use a mask, because mask is the order of the nation right now. Overusing your voice by speaking too much, speaking too loudly, or shouting. I find even being on Zoom with my students, like after a while my voice just kind of starts, and I'm not using my voice like when I was in the high school setting, but overusing your voice can really affect your vocal folds. And I will say to you too that I experienced having vocal nodules, right? What that is like two lumps that that come on your vocal folds. And remember, those are two little muscles, right, that's working together to produce sound. And what happened is, what the ENT specialist explained to me, or I think it was another voice lecturer, they said that what happens is when those two little lumps on the vocal folds come together, it produces that raspiness that you are hearing. Because I was consistently hoarse for a long period of time, and I just could not understand why it would not go away. My lecturer told me at the time, go and check it out. I went to the ENT and he said, yes, you do have vocal nodules, but mine was removable without surgery. If we continue to misuse our voices, we're gonna find that we might have to use surgery, do surgery, to get those two lumps off our throats. And I don't think, if we remember what that video looked like at the beginning, I'm certain you do not want a knife on those things. So somebody said, oh no, exactly. So for me, my way to have gotten better, what the doctor recommended was that I should go on vocal rest. I should not sing for longer than 20 minutes. That was around 2014 or 2013, I think. I should not sing longer than 20 minutes. I should not sing notes that are too high, right? I needed to just go into a period of vocal rest. So at times, if you find that you are having persistent hoarseness, or you know a member of your church who is hoarse, you might need to tell them to dial down on worship for a minute, or the screaming, singing, or just sing very subtly. So if they usually, you know them to have been a soprano, maybe have them just sing some alto notes until the voice can warm up back to their original range, but they need vocal rest. Another habit that leads to irritation of the vocal folds: singing too loudly or with poor technique. And I tell you, because I know this Zoom has a few church people, I'm gonna say it, that the singing, that ball out throat, something they want we call, and we said somebody anointed. May I tell you, when them sing, they full of Holy Ghost power. Well, them full of Holy Ghost power, and God I could do what I'm supposed to do, you know. But at the same time, if they're not using proper technique, Christina, stop the laughing. If they're not using proper technique, then what I'm calling the anointing, soon enough when they're gonna experience no anointing, because them nanga can use them voice. So so singing too loudly or with poor technique is a bad habit that can irritate that will irritate the vocal folds. Alexia says, hey, I will dash with this laptop, you know. All right, dash it way, Alexia. Come here, tell you, say, trust me, soon enough we're not gonna experience the anointing, because them voice are gone. Whoa, sorry. Wrong. So forcing your voice when you have a cold or you are hoarse is also an irritating thing that can, you know, affect your vocal folds. If you're hoarse, do not force it. Do not force it. I'm just not gonna sing today. I'm on vocal rest. And trust me, I don't usually like use this something God understands for certain situations, but God understands that if your voice is not where it needs to be, that you're not able to deliver excellently, right? Excess caffeine intakes. All those people who love coffee and Pepsi and Coca-Cola, that can also irritate your vocal folds. And you're not drinking enough water. Stay hydrated. All right. So what are some tips now? God can use someone else to bless the people. Amen. We're not invincible. So what are some tips for good vocal health? Right? I want you to also know that if you're at church and you have to be shouting over the musicians, tell them to turn down the music or ask them to increase the microphone volume. Yes, Daniel Brand, yeah man, even Wednesday in practice at praise and worship, I said, guys, can you please turn it down? Because music is an accompaniment. It's an accompaniment, okay? And so people need to understand that if it's not a band item, then it's like it's the praise team and band. So therefore, you're accompanying the praise team. We shouldn't have to be. I mean, you can turn down your instruments, and those instruments don't require what we, the people who singing, need to recover. So you want to just be mindful of each other. We need to hear everybody. Yes, Alexia, we need to hear everybody. All right, so here are some tips for vocal health. As I said, hydrate yourself. Drink water, not liquor juice, liquor orange juice. Drink water. Let me drink some water as we speak. So we want to practice proper breathing techniques, right? There are exercises on YouTube, or you can get yourself a vocal coach. Hint, hint. So practice proper breathing techniques, and that also is a tip for good vocal hygiene. Sit and stand with proper posture. So if you're singing, stand properly. And we will discuss that in a little bit. The next thing is, do not whisper. Whispering actually puts pressure on your vocal folds as just as much as shouting does. So we want to just have a nice use a nice speaking tone. And also, if you find that you are being hoarse, I remember being told some time ago that speak above that to kind of help to raise your voice, to help to raise your tone, right? Speak a little bit higher in pitch, and this will help you to kind of come out of that low tonality tone that you have. All right, I don't know why singers feel orange juice help them or cran water. I don't know either, because as we said before, that orange juice actually helps to produce mucus. All right. So some other tips for good vocal health: do not smoke. I really hope none of the saints on here are smoking, right? And also, as we said, avoid smoke. If there is smoke being burnt or somebody smoking a cigarette, as much as it be possible, avoid that. All right. Practice silent coughing and avoid excessive throat clearing. So that thing you do when you feel like something in your throat, you're doing yeah, don't do that, right? Or and trust me, we're guilty. I'm guilty of it sometimes. I have to catch myself from time to time because we're so used to just doing that. Alexia said we should cough with dignity. I agree. So a nice gentle cough is able to help you to kind of clear up that a little bit. Rest the voice when not in use. Stop the bag of chatting. Come out for the phone, right? And go meditate on the word of the Lord, right? Rest the voice when not in use and do vocal warm-ups. All right. So the next thing is that we're going to focus on another strategy. So we just looked on what we just looked on again. Anybody remember what we just looked on? Okay. Tips. Okay, we're looking on vocal hygiene. Yes, tips for good vocal health. That's it. Alexia, you deserve a prize. So the next thing that we're going to be looking on is breathing and posture. All right. So here are some breathing exercises that we're going to be kind of just, as I said, crash course. We're always told to avoid drinking cold drinks too. Yes, I totally forgot to write that one. Do not drink the cold water. Do not drink the cold water before you go and sing. I know the time is hot and you want to cool down yourself, but room temperature water, please and thanks. All right. and a little warm tea too. Not hot tea, but warm tea. Now, what we must know is that, as we said before, that singing is the controlled, or eat as for those with iron deficiency. Yes, avoid that. So singing is the controlled release of air, and it has two membranes in, as we discussed earlier, that there are two membranes in our throats. So that's the vocal folds, right? So while air is released, we use our breathing muscles to control the air that is coming through our voice box. And we say that the voice box is the larynx, right? Where we're able to control our pitch, energy, and the length of phrase. Now, breathing is so important, and it takes a little bit of time, and it takes not even a little bit, it might take a while for us to really get the whole idea of breathing. But it's really, we breathe. I mean, aren't you breathing now? I'm sure there's no dead person here. I hope not. All right. So what we need to do is to understand that we must stand or sit upright. When, if we're in rehearsals, the slouching, the slouching and the bad posture, because you need the abdominal muscles all need to be engaged, right, to help with the production of the tone and the voice in general. So we want to make sure that both feet are flat on the floor, whether you are sitting or standing. You both feet flat on the floor. If you're standing, we stand with kind of our legs slightly apart, right? And we stand upright with our shoulders relaxed. Whew. All right. The next thing that we want to do is we breathe deeply from our lower lungs. And what you can do is to kind of imagine that there's a rubber ring around your waist, those abdominal muscles, right? And so when you breathe in, what is supposed to happen? When you blow into a balloon, you find that the balloon expands, right? And when the balloon is losing air, it contracts, right? So basically what you're doing is you're treating your belly as a balloon. And so you're placing that air when you breathe in through your nostrils. In most cases, you breathe in, and so you see that expansion happening. You might want to try it as we're speaking right now. As I said, this is a crash course, so we can't go through all the stuff. Now, the next thing, we breathe through our nose and out through our nose and mouth. Well, I think I was supposed to edit this. Breathe out through our mouth, right? So when we breathe in, and that was a quick breath for me, right? You try not to have any tension. Tension prevents you from making a good sound. So you don't want to be tense. You need to be relaxed. Another thing that you can do is to lie on the floor or on your bed, on your back, with your hands on your stomach. And when you breathe in, you'll find that your hands are actually moving, because, as we said, there's air that is going in and pushing up. Now, when you breathe out, you realize that your hands go down. Now, in this position, it is virtually impossible to breathe incorrectly. So what you want to do is to try to breathe the same way when you are singing. Like, you stand and you kind of feel how your body feels when you're lying down and you're breathing, and you try to make that kind of breathing applicable while standing. All right? Next thing, you avoid raising your shoulders as you breathe in. You keep them relaxed and level. So that thing where you're breathing in and you come like this. Yeah, man. Keep it relaxed. We don't want to raise this area any at all, right? So when you're doing your breathing exercises, make sure that your shoulders aren't raised as you breathe in. The next thing is relax. You must relax. Belly already raised, so shoulders doing the job. Start with some abs, man. But it's seriously speaking though, make sure that your shoulders aren't raised when you're doing it. Practice trying to keep them low. Be a little bit more cognizant of it. Daniel said he's guilty. Daniel, after all the vocal skills and choral techniques, watch yourself, man. All right, so here's some quick breathing activities that you can try. We have this one called the hissing. All right, so with the hissing, what you do is pretty much you breathe in to the count of 4. So like I'd say, breathe in 2, 3, 4, and you hold it for 4 counts. 3, 4, then out 2, 3, 4. And then you try again and you breathe in for 6 and you hiss out for 10. You breathe in for 6 again and you can hiss out for 12 and you keep increasing the numbers. You maybe breathe in for 4 and then you hiss for maybe 20 counts or 16 counts or 12 counts. Now what that is doing is that the idea is to monitor your breathing and to ensure that you can last through long phrases. You know, some songs just have some long phrases that you don't want to take a breath in the middle of it because it may just take away from the song. I'm trying to think of a song that has a long phrase right now. Woo! Sovereign God. There aren't my God, there aren't even words to describe just how great you are. Now, if I didn't take a breath, I would probably do something like let's hold that ear. There aren't even words to describe just how great you are. Some people try to cheat the system and make it look like them just being passionate, when the truth is they just never take a proper breath to sing the phrase, right? Oh, Gigi, you just came in. Oh, that's my mother. You just came in. Yes, we did say that earlier, that we need to avoid clearing our throat. We did that when we spoke about vocal hygiene. So now we're at breathing and posture, right? So we want to make sure that we take a nice breath before our phrases, before we sing them, so we can just sustain that. And I will not be silent, I will always worship you, instead of cutting it in the middle. Wow, Shani said, God, if this ain't the truth. All right. So back to the hissing now, we want to make sure that the hiss is consistent also. So you want to make sure that as you are hissing out, there's a consistent flow of that breath that is escaping, right? So you make sure that the hiss is consistent, that it is not louder at the beginning than at the end. You're aiming for what we call a smooth sound, right? So instead of we want and you try to do that as much as you can. Crash course, moving on. Exercise 2, we pick a pitch and we choose a vowel sound and we sing it for as long as we can and ensure to take a breath before. So we could just choose right, and we could choose and sing it for as long as you can, just trying to have a sustained breath. Exercise 3, we want to work our abdominal muscles with any vowel coupled with the letter H. Let me check the time. Okay, beautiful. Coupled with the letter H, right? So ha 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 ha, he ho 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 ho, and we can form different melodic activities, or around that. So it could be ha 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 ha, or he, or so arpeggios, or we could go up the scale, just do different things. Now, vocal warm-ups, as I said, crash course, so those are just some simple ones that you can try on your own. Vocal warm-ups, and I did this with some of my students the other day. We have the yawn sigh technique. Yawn sigh technique. So we yawn, we take in air with our mouth open, and then we exhale as if we're sighing. And what this does is it helps to relax your voice and improve its range. So you yawn. And you yawn again. And what you also want to do as you do that, some of you might find that there's a break in your voice, like you might be doing I can't even do it because what happens is we have what we call vocal registers, right? We have the head voice, you have the chest voice, you have the mixed register, you have the vocal fry, you have the whistle register, right? But the main three, you have the chest voice, which is your natural voice, the right? Well, let the neighbors think you're crazy, girl. Get away, do it. So you might see your regular voice, and I will not be silent, I will always worship you. And then you have your head voice, right? But what happens is in our mix register, we're mixing, when we mix it, you know, when you mix something, you mix up you mix up the fruits together. Yes. So what happens is your chest voice and your head voice, there is a break in between for some persons, for most persons. And so what we try to do is to merge those two voices so we can have a consistent movement from our chest to our head voice. And so that's where the mixed register comes in. Now, the yawn side technique is one of those activities that can help you to build your mixed register, because what you want to do is, as you're yawning and then you're sighing, you're making that sigh that you're trying to have a consistent feel from your head to your chest voice. All right. The next exercise, humming warm-ups. Now, humming warm-ups is one of the best vocal warm-ups because it doesn't put a lot of strain on your vocal folds, right? So as you go into rehearsals, you can just start with a hum, or you may be going to rehearsals, you can hum the song that you're going to sing in rehearsal, right? So what you do is you place the tip of your tongue behind your bottom front teeth and you hum up and down the major scale. Now, for those who don't know what the major scale is, let me tell you, you actually know, because you at some point in your life you've heard do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, ti, la, so, fa, mi, re, do, right? It's simply that. Right? And so you're doing that and it's less taxing on your voice. So humming warm-ups also help you. One more warm-up tip that I'm gonna give you is lip buzz vocal warm-up. Now, as far as vocal warm-ups go, the lip buzz, we call it lip trill also. It's pretty simple. What you're trying to do is to make a motorboat sound with your voice, with your lips, as you vibrate and blow through your mouth. So you can do, as I said, on arpeggios or whatever you want to form, you know, get a musician friend and ask them to tell you something. Now you might wondering why I put in my hand here, because when my top lip start trembling, it's ticklish and I don't like the tickly feeling, right? So whatever rocks your boat. Lip trills are great for training efficient breath control and balanced tone, because it does use up your diaphragm, your abdominal muscles. All right. So the next thing, we are going on 2-octave pitch glide. For this easy vocal warm-up, it's like an E or O sound, and you gradually glide through chromatic notes. Sorry, what we might call chromatic notes. Can you hear, did you hear that keyboard just now? Yes? Okay, good. All right. So it's pretty much going through all the pitches on the keyboard or whatever instrument it is. Or O, right? So, and this also helps with the transition from your chest voice to your head voice. All right. Diction and conviction, the last thing for personal vocal strategies. What is diction? Diction is the distinctiveness of speech, right? It's pretty much how you ensure that each word is clearly heard. In music, it's very important, as without it, songs may lose their meaning to the listener. Because some people like to say, don't listen to the voice, listen to the words of the song. But we need the voice to listen to the words of the song. And we would like to make sure that while you are, even if you even think that we should listen to the words and not the voice, I don't even know how people say these things, but even if you do that, make sure that your words are clear so that we can be convicted, right? We sing with meaning and conviction. We want people to experience, the testimony through what we are singing. Get to know the lyrics of your song. That's something that's very important to your personal vocal strategy, right? You need to know the lyrics of your song. You need to learn how to pronounce difficult words. Don't, if you hear Egyptian, you say yashasham, or familiarize yourself with the song's lyrics and story if possible. Put yourself in the position of the writer if you must, or just how does this song tie in with you? What does the song mean for you, and how will you sing it for somebody else for it to bless them also, right? And we're at the end of this segment, right? Do not rely on the media team to project the words. Make sure that it's clear. Does anybody have any question? And quickly, we're gonna go on to the next part because time is against us. Okay, no questions. All right, beautiful. So everybody good. Oh, Dacia, go ahead. Dacia, I saw a hand raised. Nadine thinks she's tone deaf. Ooh. So you need to, oh, you can't unmute. All right, let me see. Huh. Oh, all right. So Tyrell is not here. All right, let me see what I can do. Okay. All right. Good. All right. So Dacia, you can go ahead.
Hello. Good day.
Good day.
Did you mention anything about like mouth exercise,
Mouth exercises?
Lips exercise, because sometimes our mouth, I don't know, can be a bit tense. I don't know. So that's like stretch.
Well, the lip trill is one. I couldn't go through. There are so many vocal warm-ups out there, right? I only shared 4 today, but the lip trill can help you to do one, and you can do. Here is a simple one. Yeah, 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 yeah. Right, and just whatever needs to flex your facial muscles. That is an exercise that you can do too. You're welcome. Somebody's asking if there's such a thing as tone deaf. Yeah. I mean, I don't know if it's written down in a book anywhere, but I've seen people where you play and they sing and you say okay, and you play the note that they sang and say like, but you just sang that note, I'm playing it and I want you to sing it and I want you to sing it back. How do you fix that? You're going to need to sit down with a pitched instrument and keep singing it until, and I want you to know that there are also apps. So let's say you sit around a pitched instrument and you're trying to sing C, but you end up singing F. Maybe you could get an app. You have some app that we maybe call like guitar tuner, for example. Even though it's a guitar tuner, if you sing a note, it actually shows you what note you're singing. And if you're in tune or out of tune, say it goes in the red if you're out of tune. If you're in the yellow, you're sliding up to going into the red, I think. But if you're in the green, it means you're hitting the notes right. So you could maybe download one of those apps and say, okay, you run a pitched instrument and you say, okay, I need to try and sing this note, and you check the app to see if you're actually singing it properly. All right. Any more questions as it relates to personal vocal strategies? All right. You're welcome, Nadine. All right, so I'm going to just slide into the... Okay.
Yeah. Do you have recommendations for like a voice coach, voice training?
Well, I do that online for right now. But yeah. We can
Okay.
speak after, or you can get my information from Trevelle, or you can look me up on Instagram. I'm Trevelle Clarke Whyne, and we can talk from there.
Thank you.
It's the warm up that you always make us do. Mama, moo. There's so many vocal warm-ups. I trust me. If you go on the internet, you'll find loads of vocal warm-ups. So I can't exhaust all of them today, clearly, because time is also against us. All right.